Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq leaves the United Kingdom today after several days' visit. On behalf of His Majesty the Sultan, His Highness Sayyid Fahad bin Mahmoud Al Saeed receives Their Excellencies head of GCC Legislative Council. Tender board awards projects for over 86.5 million Omani riyals, including construction of Mahmoud Hospital in the Governorate of Worcester. And the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion launches a service guide manual to promote for beneficiaries. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq left United Kingdom today after several days' visit, during which His Majesty offered condolences on the death of Queen Elizabeth II and congratulated His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and head of the Commonwealth on his accession to the throne in the kingdom. His Majesty the Sultan was accompanied during the visit by His Excellency Sayyid Khalid bin Hilal Al Busaidi, Minister of the Diwan of Royal Court, and His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamid Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister. On behalf of His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, His Highness Sayyid Fahad bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister of the Council of Ministers, received Their Excellencies heads of Shura representatives, national and nation councils of Gulf Cooperation Council countries who are participating at the 16th meeting of the Gulf Legislative Councils, which is currently hosted by the Sultanate of Oman. After welcoming the guests, His Highness Sayyid Fahad received the Omani Shura experience, which is based on civilizational heritage and responds to the requirements of the times. His Highness praised the constructive role played by the Council of Oman in cooperation with state institutions in supporting the Comprehensive Development March, stressing on the importance of the role played by the Gulf Legislative Councils in consolidating cooperation and strengthening ties among people of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries to achieve the desired goals. The meeting reviewed the march of the Gulf Legislative Councils and the experience of each country in establishing its institutions that achieve the best outcomes for the national action, as well as the development on the regional and international arenas. For their part, Their Excellencies, the head of the Shura Council, representatives, national and nation councils in the GCC countries expressed their thanks to the Sultanate of Oman for hosting the meeting and the good preparation that contributed to reaching many positive results. They also commended the Sultanate of Oman's continuous and permanent support for the Gulf cooperation process, praising the Omani experience in building state of institutions and the rule of law and strengthening cohesion that provides a decent life for all citizens. The meeting was attended by His Excellency Khalid bin Hilal Al Ma'wali, Chairman of the Shura Council, His Excellency Adil Abdul Rahman Al Asumi, President of the Arab Parliament, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Mohammed Al Saeedi, Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, and His Excellency Sheikh Al Fadl bin Mohammed Al Harthi, Secretary General of the Council of Ministers. The 16th meeting of the GCC Legislative Councils was concluded today in the Governorate of Muscat. More details in the following report.
Many issues were highlighted during the 16th meeting of the GCC Parliamentary Councils. One of them was the approval of continuous joint meetings between the GCC group and the European Union, as well as enhancing the relationship between the parliaments of the Gulf countries and the Latin American and Caribbean countries.
The 16th meeting of the GCC parliaments held in Muscat discussed many subjects The important ones is regarding the communication with the European Union and enhancing and enforcing this communication by all the GCC countries. Continuous communication with the Caribbean, Latin American and Caribbean parliaments, which is also approved by this meeting, and it will be held during the international parliamentary meetings.
During the meeting, the participants also nominated one topic among three, which was studying the role of the legislative councils to enhance investment and cooperation in economy between the GCC.
The recommendation of the subjects that are going to be discussed in a workshop that would be held in Sultanate of Oman this year. The meeting approved the subject of the economic between the GCC countries, enhancing the economic, enhancing the investment between the GCC countries, so to improve the economy in the countries.
The participants have seen the results of the Conference of Joint Policies of the GCC to execute the Green Middle East Entrepreneur to support the green economy. While this 16th parliamentary meeting has concluded with several recommendations touching the national economy in the GCC, as well as encouraging the usage of the green power. Saif Al-Kindi for English News, Muscat.
Matters of common interest between the Sultanate of Oman and the Republic of Pakistan were discussed by His Excellency General Sultan bin Mohammed Al Naimi, Minister of the Royal Office, when he received Admiral Muhammad Amjad Khan, Chief of Naval Staff of Pakistan, and his accompanying delegation. At the beginning of the meeting, His Excellency the Minister of the Royal Office welcomed the guest, who expressed his thanks and appreciation to the Sultanate of Oman to enhance means of cooperation and achieve common interests between the two countries. During the meeting, cordial talks were also exchanged and a number of topics of mutual concern. The Tender Board awarded in today's meeting a number of developments and service projects with a value of over 86.5 million Omani Riyals. The awarded projects include construction of Mahoud Hospital in the Governorate of Worcester, maintenance of asphalt road in the Governorates of Dakhliya, North Sharqiya, Worcester and Musandam for 5 years, and the project for adding 2 lanes in Rasail and Nizwa dual carriageway from Muscat Expressway to the intersection of Sharqiya Expressway. The board also approved projects for providing catering, cleaning and pest control services to hospitals under the management of the Ministry of Health, in addition to period maintenance to medical equipment. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Saeed Mohammed Al Sukri, Minister of Economy. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion held today a meeting for media representatives where it announced launching its Services Guide Manual. More details in the following report.
To provide a comprehensive reference guide for the beneficiaries and facilitate the business environment for investors, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion launched a service guide manual which outlines the ministry's online and on-site services.
The guide actually has 180 services that are provided by the ministry. The guide also has a clear outlaying of all the services, the documentations needed, and the duration of each service. And this, of course, transparency is one of our targets at this stage. And I think this is a good opportunity for people even outside Oman. Before they come, it's going to be available online on our website, and it will save, of course, time and effort.
The electronic contract documentation service through Invest Easy portal was also reviewed. This service is endeavored to enhance the international indicators of the Sultanate of Oman in relation to the ease of starting a business.
The more corridors we have of trade bilateral without the tariff barriers, the more trade that is going to happen. So I think the role of this particular team is to make sure that we open up as many trade corridors as possible without the tariff barriers. So that is one. Number two is, can we get in from a foreign direct investment point of view, the large business houses, the large groups from overseas to look at Oman as a potential investment destination. So the government is now, as a ministry, we are very determined that we will address the marketing of Oman's potential to individual large business houses on a one-on-one basis, rather than being a generic marketing program.
The meeting also touched on the Charter of Corporate Governance for Closed Commercial Companies, as well as the call center of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, within the efforts made to save time and effort for business owners and create a stimulating investment environment. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
To spark innovation and competition between youths, as well as to build entrepreneurial qualities within them, Injaz Oman had a series of competitions for different levels of students from schools and universities. More details in the following report.
Injaz Oman held the final ceremony entitled the Company 2022. This ceremony was under the patronage of His Highness Sayyid Azzan bin Qais Al Saeed, Vice Chairman of the Oman Olympics Committee. The ceremony started with an Injaz Oman welcoming speech. Post to that, a visual video of different achievements delivered by Injaz Oman, who marked 16 years since their establishment, was played for the audience. A success story was also shared that was inspiring for a company that graduated from Injaz Oman program and reached to a market value of around 4 million Omani riyals.
Injaz Oman is a program that builds private sector competencies into students. We go to schools, colleges, universities, and teach the students the skills of the private sector. Fully funded by the private sector, and we have a lot of volunteers from the private sector. Therefore, the education is not just academic, but it's actually practical.
The evaluation was precise and with high standards to ensure fair competition. The prizes announced went within 5 categories, where Pure Green Company won the Best Visual Advertisement Award, Marvel Spirit Company won the Best Elevator Pitch Award as well as the Best Creative Award. Zulal, on the other hand, won the Best Sustainable Product Award, and finally Rabel won the Best Student Company Award and will represent the country in Injaz Al-Arab competition.
Actually, Marvel Spirit, we have Spirit Band. Actually, it's the asthma attack before it happened, because many kids have an asthma attack and that killed them. So Marvel Spirit will tell you that your child will have asthma attack, so you will care to your child and he will be safe.
All those efforts from Injaz Oman focuses on building the youth and enabling them with skills to better serve the country.
We are so happy. I can't describe my feeling in a small word. We hope to be as a real company and all over the world know us.
Innovation and creative ideas, especially from the youth, is what empowers visions of the Sultanate of Oman and pushes them forward. It's competitions like this one of Injaz Oman that build the youth to serve the nation. Innovative ideas are a necessity for solving complex problems of the world today. For Oman TV, Ahmed bin Hilal al-Busaidi, Muscat.
GCC Consultative Commission discussed during their 4th meeting of the 25th session in Muscat a number of issues, including the international water crisis, preparing the youth for an era of information technology and the Gulf industry options during the fourth industrial revolution. The Commission placed its final remarks on the reports and tasks assigned by the GCC Supreme Council, marking the end of the current session. The final proposals and reports will be submitted to the Ministerial Council before being submitted to Their Highnesses, leaders of the GCC countries, in the meeting which will take place in December. Enhancing the level of protection for dealers, providing a fair market, offering multiple options for financing, and giving a legal umbrella to virtual investments assets are the most prominent endeavors of the new securities law issued by Royal Decree number 46 on 2022. More details in the following report.
The Capital Market Authority held a press conference in which it explained that the new securities law comes within the framework of upgrading the regulatory level of the securities industry in the Sultanate of Oman to levels that keep pace with current and future requirements in light of the technical revolution and the legal adjustment it imposes on the regulation of financial technology and the creation of a legal umbrella for innovative financing tools.
The law provides flexibility and provides for new products to come, and it caters for the market to be at the same level as the international markets. So we hope this will position Oman to attract more foreign and local investment, and we hope this will encourage issuers to come and issue in the market and to benefit from the facilities that this law provides for them to finance their projects.
The law also comes to protect dealers in the Omani capital market and to ensure the provision of multiple financing options and a high ability to attract local and foreign capital by providing a fair investment environment based on integrity and transparency, and a market with requirements and tools that provide adequate protection for capital owners.
The new law, securities law, has separated financial market infrastructure institutions. We have our own now bylaws. We need to issue our own bylaws. We need to act as SROs, self-regulatory organizations, and that's what has come with the law. So we need to state our own bylaws. We need to regulate brokers, market makers, and margin financing as well. So all those has been transferred to the exchange. Along with that, we have a lot of initiatives related to the technology. The law stated possibilities of issuing new type of securities, tradable securities, fungible securities. That is more into tech. When we discussed crypto assets, digital assets, that's all available or open now with the new regulations.
The securities law includes modifications in regulating the securities industry, and its focus in its current situation is on activities related to this sector, such as funds and the activities of brokerage firms, in an expanded manner and according to powers that contribute to achieving the four roles that the Capital Market Authority is working to achieve, namely regulation, development, control and awareness.
The Ministry of Heritage and Tourism held today the second edition of the workshop China Ready. More details in the following report.
To educate Oman tourism trade partners on how to deal with Chinese visitors and their requirements as China tourism reopens, the Ministry of Heritage and Tourism is organizing the second China Ready workshop.
This is the second workshop that the Ministry of Heritage and Tourism is organizing in this regard. The first one was during our participation in the Arab travel market in the UAE earlier this year. And the whole objective is to increase, as you mentioned, to increase the readiness of the Omani private sector, the tourism sector, to welcome the Chinese tourists once the circumstances allow these tourists to travel.
The workshop will help the industry stakeholders to prepare ahead for China's reopening, as visitor habits will be quite different from the pre-pandemic time.
There would be some business-to-business meetings between the representatives of the Omani companies and their counterparts from Chinese companies which are operating in this region. We believe that it is very important for the private sector to be enlightened about what are the requirements of the Chinese tourists, because the Chinese tourists today are considered the largest tourism market, outbound market in the world, and Oman would definitely make use of these numbers.
The event is also an opportunity for delegates to understand the key factors attracting Chinese visitors, digitalization and technology changes, and know how they select destinations and hotels, which will guide them in penetrating the Chinese market effectively.
In the 51st regular session of the UN Human Rights Council, the Sultanate of Oman showed its support to the proposals recommended by the independent experts on the establishment of a democratic, equitable international order, the most important of which holding regular peace conferences under the umbrella of the United Nations to develop mechanisms and methods to establish peace, security and coexistence in the world. The statement, which was delivered by the permanent mission of the Sultanate of Oman to the United Nations, stressed that the Sultanate of Oman has worked on promoting international peace and dispute resolution through dialogue and diplomacy. In the statement, the permanent mission of the Sultanate of Oman to United Nations reaffirmed that the country's stance in the harmony with the international efforts that calls for cooperation, peaceful coexistence, dispute resolution through understanding and dialogue, and supporting all steps to diffuse conflict at regional and international levels. The exhibition of 40 artworks by some of the most famous artists in Oman at Stall Gallery was opened last night under the auspices of His Highness Sayyid Mohammed bin Salim bin Ali Al Saeed. More details in the following report.
Incredible talents were displayed in the form of artwork staged at Stall Gallery, which was inaugurated yesterday evening in remembrance of the late artist Mohammed Nizam. The exhibition included 40 artworks by some of the most famous artists in Oman. In his welcoming speech in the presence of the chief guest, His Highness, and all attendees, artist Hussein Ubaid, coordinator of the exhibition, said that this exhibition visual manifestation 4 represents Omani art experiences that belongs to different generations. He added, in loyalty to colleague artist, the founder, this exhibition includes the phrase "Greetings to the late artist Mohammed Nizam," which stems from the friend's desire to recognize his efforts and remembering him.
I'm very glad to be here today to join my colleagues, artists. I think this is very good opportunity for people who are interested in art, as well artists, to meet together. As myself, I stopped painting for quite some time. I'm very glad to see many of my colleagues exhibiting here, which encourages me as well to start paint again and join them and have such kind of exhibitions together. And I'm quite glad for this cultural event, and I hope to see many more coming.
The exhibition Visual Manifestation 4 is one of the periodic exhibitions that a group of Omani artists used to organize. In its multiple versions, It constitutes a turning point in terms of artistic production and an opportunity for connoisseurs of visual art to learn about the experiences of the pillars of the Omani fine art achievements, in which the participants present a summary of their visual experiences based on heritage and civilization areas and philosophical, aesthetic and spiritual data.
I actually love the fact that there's so much of expressionism art that just shines through these paintings, and you can actually see the Omani influence on these paintings. The one thing that I actually realized while looking at the paintings is that it changes perspective when you're standing in front of it, when you're standing a couple of feet away from it, which actually is very hard to do in art. And when you actually look at these paintings, even the ones that we saw previously as well, they somehow look at life as a puzzle. So when it all comes together, it's different perspectives, and it also matters from where you come from. So that in its entirety, it's something that's very beautiful, that's translated in color here.
With its multiple visual contents, it draws together contemporary intellectual and artistic transformers and forms that open visual windows for contemplation and navigation in the spaces of contemporary Omani artistic achievement.
Always I get my inspiration from the women's stories. Most of my painting I use acrylic painting and abstract painting, symbolism painting.
It's worth noting that the exhibition will continue until mid-October at the Style Gallery in Madinat Sultan Qaboos in Muscat. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rabi'i, Sultanate of Oman Television, at Style Gallery, Madinat Sultan Qaboos, Muscat.
This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq leaves the United Kingdom today after several days' visit. On behalf of His Majesty the Sultan, His Highness Sayyid Fahad bin Mahmoud Al Saeed receives Their Excellencies heads of GCC legislative councils. Tender Board awards projects for over 86.5 million Omani riyals, including construction of Mahout Hospital in the Governorate of Worcester. And the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion launches a service guide manual to promote for beneficiaries. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night and stay safe.